Hey, what do you know? It's the month of me. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is the first video I'm doing since completing my shelves. If you missed those videos, please check them out. They were so fun to do, but I'm so happy to have like some kind of background behind me now. And the first video I'm doing is my April new releases. Yes, it is not my birth month, but it is my namesake. So it's gonna be a great month, right? I, again, primarily read fantasy romance, historical romance, monster romance, which also includes a little bit of weird shit, and then also I read a lot of other things here and there, like thrillers, historical sometimes, with maybe a little bit of magical realism, and also a sci-fi. So settle in and let's just get on with the new releases. The first book on April 2nd is a new to me historical romance author. This book is called The Lady He Lost, and this is by Faye Delacour. This book, you have Eli, who is the hero. He is presumed dead from a shipwreck, and 2 years later, he just kind of shows up back in London society, and everyone's like, what gives? So he's the talk of the town. And then he's trying to reconnect with his best friend, Jane. Forgot her name for a second. Jane, of course, wants nothing to do with him. She's trying to start her own life by building a gambling hall for women, which I love. And of course, he's just trying to get back into her good graces. So this sounded really intriguing. I really love the idea of him being lost for a certain number of years. I kind of want to see what this is going to be all about. On April 3rd is a dark fantasy romance called The Court That Bleeds Gold. This is by Zara Storm, and this sounds like a Rumpelstiltskin / Beauty and the Beast retelling. You have a girl that tells a lie that she can spin gold while her life is at stake, and she's actually shocked that she does it. And when that happens, the cruel human king wants to keep her, so she makes a deal with a fae, and then he takes her back to his realm. Of course, his realm is the land of the fae, and they're not too nice, so he is her only protector. Of course, she should hate him because he's a bit sadistic, but he also saved her, so she's kind of intrigued, and she wants a little bit more. So this just sounded cool. I really like the Rumpelstiltskin aspect of this, and so I put it on my list for the month. The next book on April 5th is Intergalactic by M.W. Knox. This sounds like a sci-fi romance. Jennifer, you don't really hear a lot of books with the heroine's name Jennifer. Seems kind of weird, but okay. Jennifer, all she ever wanted to do was pilot a ship through the stars, and then a horrible accident one day destroys her ship, and she goes off into seclusion. However, she's forced out of that seclusion to take a commission aboard another ship with a very grumpy captain. The captain has a lot of demons that he's trying to work through. If only his new shipmate would stop getting in the way. I have been really into space operas lately, so I'm wanting to read this. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it is on my KU list for the future. April 9th has a ton of new releases that day. The first one being The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This is her next historical fantasy, sort of. So it makes me curious to see like what she's doing lately, because she's a great writer and I absolutely love her books. The next one I am super excited about is not a romance. It is called Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I read S.A. Barnes's other sci-fi book in this duology. I think they are connected. And I absolutely love it. It's sci-fi horror, so I'm really curious to see where she takes it with this book. A Secret Shared with Death by by Ariella Isabella. I did read this book already, and I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all need to read it. This is a book about a girl who cannot die, and she sees death when she's a young girl, and death kind of freaks out a little bit because, like, she can see me, she could also see other ghosts, and she doesn't quite know what that means. But then her village is absolutely decimated by elves. Everyone in her village dies, and she is the sole survivor. So she actually asked Death to help her get her revenge. Death takes her away to a Fae land, and of course a Fae king takes interest in her, and they all promise to help grow her abilities while in this land. This book was really cool, I'm gonna say. There's like a road trip element to this that I really, really loved. There's some action, but there's also this kind of sort of love triangle going on between her, Death, and the king. And it was good though. It was a good one, and I really highly recommend it. Also on April 9th is a book called The Other Side of the Mirror, and this is by Dana Evan. This book, Ava, 7 years after her family is brutally murdered, she is abducted and taken away to a fairyland. Yes, a fairyland. Cooper. After she's abducted, Bash rescues her from that and tells her that she is to marry a king to stop a curse. So there's a bit of, again, a road trip element with Bash taking her to this king. When she gets there, everything is not what it seems. So sounds really interesting, and I really love fairy tale-esque type of books these days, so curious about that. And also on April 9th, we have Lost Crows and Fallen Stars. This is by Abelee Sumpter. I have never read anything from this author before, but this said it was for romantasy readers who want to dip their toes into sci-fi, and I love that crossover. And the first line of the synopsis of this says, "Today I met my husband for the first time. Again." I'm just gonna read the synopsis because it sounds good. Like, honestly, this is a good one. It says, Milo Eris, the young ruler of 2 planets, is as cruel as he is handsome, and for some reason he chose me to be his wife. But I have bigger problems than Milo's cold words. Servants in the palace are hiding strange burns on their bodies. A maid is murdered at the ball. Not to mention, there's the looming mystery of why my memories were wiped to begin with. Danger lurks in the shadows, and with every strange occurrence, I fear someone aboard the Imnicus may be putting both our lives in jeopardy. I'm assuming that's the name of the ship. I thought it sounded really cool, and I love the fact that it's like for fantasy fans who want to just dip their toes into sci-fi, so I'm assuming this will be a sci-fi light. So I really like that. This next one, I can barely say the title of it, but I just had to. Like, I had to. Coming out on April 10th is Wilted Verdure by Jade Waltz. This again is in a series with all these cute cartoon covers, and this is like a tree guy or a plant guy. I mean, I didn't even read the synopsis. I just saw plant guy and this gorgeous cute cartoon cover, and I said, sure. Sure, I'll read that. So I added it to my monster romance list because this just looks fun. On April 12th is another historical romance, this one by Shanna Galen, and this is called My Fair Katie. I'm assuming it's a play on My Fair Lady. I don't know if it's a retelling of that or not, but let's find out. The Duke of Carlisle has a problem with cards. Looks like he's a gambler, and he was cursed by a witch when he was 13 to have bad luck, and by the time he turns 30, the curse should be over. However, when he tries to make one last-ditch effort to save his estate, he loses it all to his arch nemesis. When he retreats to his mother's home in the countryside, penniless and homeless, he doesn't realize that his arch nemesis has also banished his daughter to an estate next door. I love a good penniless homeless duke just totally ruined, and then he's got to find this woman to save the day. And I also love in the synopsis that it says this heroine has a birthmark on her face. So I kind of love that. I don't love the fact that she's probably being sequestered to the country because of it, but you know, it's Regency, so people are weird, okay? People are weird and do dumb things. On April 16th is the latest thriller from Alyssa Cole called One of Us Knows. I read When No One Is Watching, I think that's what it was called, a few years ago, and I loved it. So I really love Alyssa Cole's thrillers, and this is her latest. And this says this is about a caretaker of a historic estate who finds herself trapped on an island with a murderer. So creepy estate, island, isolation, it's right up my alley. The next book is more of a high fantasy, maybe mixed with a bit of sci-fi, and this is called To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods, and this is by Molly X. Chang. Ru Ying, I think that's what her name is, she hates the invaders who descended from the skies and stamped out the magic of her people. Blessed by death, she can pull the life out of people. Oh my god, I love that. And all she wants to do is keep her family safe. When her gift is discovered by an enemy prince, she makes a deal with him to stamp out his political rivals in order for her family to never starve or want for anything again. Sounds like there's a little bit of a romance going on between her and the prince, but you know, we'll see. I don't expect there to be a ton of romance in this, but the cover is gorgeous, and I just think sounds like a cool book. The next book is my absolutely must-have. I will put down whatever book I'm reading on this day and start reading this book. On April 19th, The Throne of Honor and Blood by J. Bree comes out. This is the follow-up to The Crown of Oaths and Curses, which I read last year and I cannot stop talking about. It is one of the best enemies to lovers books I have ever read. In this one, I am really expecting a gigantic grovel, so we'll see what happens though. If you have not read the first one, please do. It is a slower moving fantasy romance. There is absolutely no romance in that first book. However, there is tension. There is so much tension. And I'm curious to see if we'll get romance in the second one. She is promising the slowest of slow burns, but oh, I cannot wait for it. On April 23rd, the newest book from Sarah Hogle comes out. This is Old Flames, New Fortunes. I do have an arc of this. I'm not sure exactly what it's about. I'm thinking it's some kind of witchy book, maybe? I think it's set in New Orleans, but that's about all I know about it. I'm kind of wanting to go into this blind. Sarah Hogle is known for her comedy and her romantic comedies. I've loved every single book by her, and I don't know, we'll see how this one goes. Also on April 23rd is an anthology that's coming out, and I don't really read a lot of anthologies, but this is a monster romance anthology and is by 3 incredible authors: Emma Hamm, Juliet Cross, and Zoe Draven. All of those are fantastic authors, so I will pretty much read whatever they write, and I'm really wanting to check out their monster romance books in this. Particularly Emma Hamm. I've been really wanting to read some books from her, and I haven't yet, so I need to get to this one. And also on April 23rd is a sci-fi that sounds like it's a Korean space opera drama. This is called Ocean's Gadori, and this is by Elaine Yu Cho. This says it's Becky Chambers meets Firefly in this big-hearted Korean space opera debut about a disgraced pilot struggling to find her place while fighting to protect the people she loves. Yeah. You just say space opera and I am there, honestly. Again, I don't know if this is a romance at all. I'm gonna say no, but I have just been really into sci-fis lately, and this just, you know, hits a note that I want to read. Okay, well, I have written down April 26th, but Kindle also says April 16th, so we'll see which one is right on this one. But the next book in Cleo Evans' Three Fates Mafia comes out next month. It's called Kings and Monsters. This is her male mafia romance with a minotaur. and a mafia boss. So these are just my favorite 90-10 spicy to plot ratio books. They're just fun and quick and dirty, and I love that. On April 30th, we have The Diamond King by V. Kahani. I have been wanting to read When the Flower Meets the Devil, Flower Something of the Devil, Give a Flower to a Devil. I'm bad at remembering all names, okay? This is bad. I'm sorry. However, what really has me intrigued about this book is that it says it is The Great Gatsby meets Peaky Blinders. So this is, I'm gonna say, more historical fantasy type-esque book with a little bit of romance in there. Oh, it says The Diamond King is a Victorian forced marriage billionaire romance with mafia themes. And obviously for mature audiences. So, ooh, I just kind of love this. It says something about 6 tasks, forced marriage, and a jewelry auction. Come on now, that just sounds good. Also on April 30th is the next book from Jenna Wolfhart. This is Mind in Magic. These are just cozy fantasy romance books. I've read one of them and this is the third one. I actually read the second book. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm primarily a cozy fantasy romance person. However, I like these books for when I need something more low stakes, and Jenna Wolfhart, I really did enjoy her books. So keeping this on the list for when I need a good cozy fantasy romance. And the next, I clearly just put this on because of the title and the fact that it said it was some kind of Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it says Betrothed to the Zombie Prince. But it looks very fairy tale retelling-esque, so I'm just curious about it. This is by Gentry Lee Burke, who I thought was a historical romance author, but I could be wrong about that. In a world overrun by the undead, where chaos and fear reign, a strange and enchanting love story unfolds, blending the apocalyptic horror of a zombie invasion with the timeless charm of Beauty and the Beast. Say no more. And the last book I have for April, coming out on April 30th, is Awakened Under the Blood Moon, and this is by C.A. Burkhart. So Genevieve is a normal village girl. However, one day she suddenly has a nightmare about the time before the war. She's suddenly faced with the fact that she has to save her kingdom from a tyrant king. And she's kind of weighing the options of that and what that means for her. Witchy romance, sounds good, love the cover. That's all I have. Those are all the books that I'm interested in coming out in April. Of course, I'm not going to be reading all these books, but they are on my TBR, of course, that is ever flowing and growing. Let me know if any of these books interest you, or if you have any favorites coming out in April that you want to read. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!